going, man?
What's good, my digger?
How's it going, man?
Yo, we back at it. You know, last time I had technical difficulties, so I'm back at it. You know what I mean? I was just playing the album. The album is crazy. Yo, the whole vibe of the album is very urgent.
Yeah.
Urgent. The MC, he reminds me of Ghostface in a way. It's just the way he's going and spitting over those tracks. Those tracks is like almost remind me of like someone like Bomb Squad, you know, Public Enemy, Bomb Squad, just, you know what I mean, real urgent. There's nothing laid back. It's like it keeps you like on the edge of your feet. You know what I mean? Like at the edge of your seat. It's real urgent and whatnot. Was that the sound y'all were going for?
Oh, 100%. Like when it comes to producing for Ace, so I have different approaches with how depending on the person.
Right.
With him, I want to, how do I say this properly? But I want to scare people. Like when he comes on and just how the beat matches, right. I want people to feel small. And so I wanted to do that the entire project. So that
whole like song after song after song, you get a sense of urgency, like it's an emergency. Listening, my favorite one is the intro. I like Open Book and I like Gotham. Like those really stood out to me. I really like those tracks. So let's get into the process. Like you know, I know you're out there in Florida, right?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah,
Miami, and the scene out there with real hip hop is it kind of small?
There's pockets here and there, but you know, there's people that care about the kind of music we like doing, and it's growing.
Yeah, definitely. And the equipment that you're using right now is?
I'm all Abletoned out, so I got the Ableton, right. And I got the the DAW.
The DAW, right. So no hardware, strictly software.
Oh no, I have the Ableton push. It's like the whole 64 button joint.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with Ableton like that. So it's hardware. You're actually tapping on pads.
Yeah, they have their own hardware with it too. It's crazy.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's dope right there. So I'm gonna take it. It sounds like you start with the drums first.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it seems like the drums are up front, and I like that. And the drums are not. It's not the typical booms, boom, boom. Like where are you getting the drums from? Are they break beats?
I get them from everywhere. Like so for example, the intro I programmed that myself.
Mm-hmm.
I do that a lot. It's kind of split between programming and breaks, but a lot of the times if I just take a break, I'm not just looping the break, I'm chopping it up, I'm processing it. That's one of the biggest things in my skill set. Like I process a lot. So like on average, the average track I'll have in a session, like there'll be like 7 different little effects on there. Like I really focus on that part.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the samples, like, I mean, you're digging online or you actually going to record stores and digging?
Oh, both. So it's been a while since I've been to a store because of COVID and all that. But I try to have it balanced.
Right.
My YouTube game is crazy. Like I got like 700 channels I'm subscribed to. I'm just looking for stuff.
Wow. So like, what do you look for in a sample? Are you always looking for that urgent sound when you dig?
So I would say the most important thing that I look for is like how something feels. Like not even, because I'm not a big chopper, but I'm not a big looper either. So I go off of what is the sound trying to convey. So like, for example, I just flipped like some Indian joint from the 70s. Like even if the sounds are terrible, there's still the warmth, they're still there. So that's at least something for me to work with.
Right. Because some of the music on it seemed like you took maybe like one shots.
Yeah, I do a lot of one shots too. Yeah.
You know, just a sound and it goes through because the drums itself, your drums make the beat, really.
Yeah.
Your drums make the beat. The drums stand out more than the sample.
Yeah.
It gives a nice little rhythm. The drums really is like the skeleton. I can tell you're very drum heavy and things like that. That's why I was asking about the sample. So you're saying once you got the drum rocking, you start with the drum first, you can pretty much throw anything on top of it and make it work.
Oh yeah, like I've done that before where I got a drum groove and like on purpose I found something terrible. So I found like what was it? I think it was like a microwave sound or whatever, and I just slowed that down. Still sounded great. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy right there. That's crazy right there. So on average, like, how many tracks are each of your beats? Like, you know, you got the drums, the sample. How many tracks would you say on average your beats are?
If it's just like a regular beat, probably like 7 to 10.
7 to 10 tracks.
If it's something like very involved, like anything from that album, it's like
wow, 20.
Yeah, like
wow.
the intro is like 20, 23 tracks.
Right.
And then the next song was like 30. Like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Right. And I noticed like the BPMs, there wasn't any real slow beats. So your BPM range is pretty much up there, correct?
Oh yeah, I go the full spectrum. So probably the slowest beat on that album was probably 84. But again, it was like a fast 84.
Right.
And I think for that project, it went all the way to like, well, there was one joint that was 145, but that was like halftime. But as far as like it went from there to like 110.
Right, because the album reminds me of something that would have came out in like 88, 89 with those that fast tempo. You know what I mean? And the way he was rhyming like a pit bull just that came off the leash or whatever. You know what I mean? It just sounded like really urgent. So I can tell like the BPMs were like a throwback from like the the late 80s, early 90s, where everything was sped up, you know, real quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like how Kane was rhyming, like, you know, set it off or whatever. You know what I mean? Really fast and things like that. So I think that was really dope. It just took me back to that Public Enemy era. You know what I mean? Where, you know, you can play that at a party and everybody be hyping and like dancing. You know what I mean? To a degree. You know what I mean? Like back in that era. So basically your BPMs are basically between like maybe 84 and up.
On average, like I just made a couple beats today and there was just like, they're usually like 93, 95.
That's like I said, that's throwback. Yeah, you don't really hear beats that are that fast like anymore, because you notice nowadays everything, especially with the Griselda, everything is slowed down and it's 70s, 80s. You don't really hear too many people making beats in the 90 BPMs.
Right.
That's different. Yeah, you definitely brought it back. So when it comes to choosing your samples, is there a certain process? Is it like you're looking at the cover? Are you looking at the back for the instrument? How do you know, like, yo, I need to grab that record? Or how do you know I need to grab that off YouTube?
Yeah, there's I mostly stick into I mean I find anything, honestly. Like one time I sampled drums off of like some Twitter ad. Like one time I did I'm always collecting just random stuff on the internet if something's like funny or whatever. But as long as it sounds warm, like there's some kind of warmth I can extract from it, then anything's fair game.
Yeah, so it's whatever. Nothing's off limits when it comes to the whole sample game with you.
Yeah, because there's anything like, you know, there's a millions of ways to chop something, manipulate something, whatever. So it really doesn't matter what it is, as long as there's like some baseline criteria.
Got you. So how do you know when a beat's done, where it's not underproduced and it's not overproduced? How do you know it's like, okay, this is finished?
Okay. So for me, obviously, it's because I started with the drums, you know, drums, sample, bass, little sound effects. And on average, usually I'm already working with an artist. So I usually just get that raw idea out the way and then send it out.
Right.
And then sent back, then I go back and produce around it.
Gotcha. So you give like a skeleton.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff goes on in my stuff. I like to just keep the initial idea simple, and then once I actually get vocals back, and then I arrange around it, and then have all the little bells and whistles, because you'll be doing that forever.
So with all of that detail that goes in your beats, how many beats are you making a day?
Oh, not many. It's a very involved process. So
Right.
it's usually like maybe like it's one, maybe two a day, but it's but sometimes it depends because there's like the practice days. Like today, I made a joint and then I went back and um
Mhm.
I also try to remake a lot of breaks that I like
Right.
but like actually playing them.
Hmm.
So today I was just knocking a couple of those out today, like just
Right.
for practice.
Right. So basically, you quantize then.
No, not really. I like my usually when I record patterns, I obviously you plan through, you don't have it on.
Mhm.
But then maybe sometimes I might inch something here and something there. But I always like it a little bit off.
Mhm.
So it's nice
Right.
and natural.
Right. So when with the because like I said, the beats are very fast. So when you sit down, do you set the BPM first before when you make the beat? Like, oh, just randomly pick 93. How does that work?
Well, it all depends on like if I get a break already, like I'm
Right.
ready to go, um, I'll match the BPM to the break,
Okay.
but then start to manipulate to how I want it. So like if I get what I love taking sometimes is like a drum and bass breaks, like and then and that's like 120, but then I'll like shrink that down to like 97.
Okay. Right.
So it really depends on what I'm given.
Mm. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing right there. Cool, cool, cool. So you take the drum, something that's you said one something, and then you shrink it down. And then you
Yeah.
find the sample to match it.
Yeah, just you know, from there it's just DJ time. Like I'll go to
Right.
my channel, I find something, okay, try that, record that, doesn't work, go back, try something else, doesn't work. I'll throw the kitchen sink of effects at it. It's just
Right.
basically
Right.
find it till it works.
Okay, so do you have the drum playing while you're going through samples, rocking to
Yeah,
see how something sounds over it?
yeah,
And then if
yeah,
it clicks, boom, you press record, then you start the chopping or the looping up process, and it
yeah,
goes from there.
yeah. I've seen alchemists do that before too.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen them do the same thing as well.
Yeah,
That's especially when you're starting with the drum or whatever.
yeah, it cuts a lot of guesswork out.
Right, 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 right. See, a lot of people I've interviewed, they said that they start with the sample first because they don't know what they're gonna do yet. So, you know what I mean? They don't start with the drums. Very few people that I've interviewed said they start with the drum. I think the drum gives it the skeleton. I go both ways, either or.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It the thing is for me, like I already know, like I have a lot of stuff I can sample, but I'm not I would say my chopping is good, everything's good, but you know, obviously my focus is the drums. So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, if I just get that right, it kind of doesn't matter what I fill that in with.
Mhm.
Whereas if there's one of the few times where I come across a sample and I'm like, okay, I really want to flip that, then maybe I might shift the focus to that first. But usually I already, no matter how I want to go with something, I already have a groove in mind of where I want to be today.
Right, right, right. So, I mean, like when it comes to like the samples, are you listening to the whole record, or is it like spot sampling, just moving the needle just to catch something real quick?
Um, yeah, especially if it's like a whack record, because sometimes in like a whack record, there'll be something like 3 minutes in, you're like, oh wow, you would have never picked that up.
Right.
But there's you could always tell sometimes, like if it's like some disco like 80s stuff or something super weird that you're kind of already familiar with how it's gonna go, then yeah, you don't want to waste your time. But like there's certain like obscure warm records that
Mhm.
it might not start off like it makes sense, but then it'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to sit through a whole whack record. You're like, yo. Sometimes I'll just throw a record on, I'll play them. I'm like, yo, this is whack. Let me go to the next song. But a lot of times you can miss stuff, doing that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the challenge with like non-soul genres.
Hmm.
Because at least like if it's some whack R&B record, you're like, okay, this is still an R&B record. I can at least
Right,
tolerate this a couple
right,
minutes.
right.
But
Right.
if it,
Because a lot of times when we're making beats, we're listening to certain things that we don't even like.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
um,
Might be a white boy rock man, but there's that one little piece that's like, oh,
Yeah.
gotta
See,
snap.
but that's I could sit through those records because I actually listen to those, but sometimes it'll be like some like, I don't know, like some Asian country record. You're like, huh, okay, this is getting weird. But then just like you'll find that 5 second, you're like, whoa, okay. Yeah, listen.
Right. So with the drums, like your drums, you have preset drums. Like when you start a beat, you can just pull up a loop, the drum that's already looped up or already made, and you go from there.
I'm starting to do that. So like today, I just made a drum bank of just of some drum separates, but it's usually kind of fresh. I have to find it first and then process it how I want. Usually because I'll get off work and then I already have like a drum feel of what I want, and then I gotta find that, process that, and then go and look for samples.
Right, because you were really, if I remember correctly, that you were really more into making instrumental albums, correct?
That's what I started off doing, yeah.
Right. Are you continuing that path, or you more now want to work with more MCs?
I still got some MC obligations, but then after that I'll probably get back to it.
Yeah, so do you find that you have more creative control when you put out instrumental albums versus working with an artist? Because when you work with an artist, you got to wait for them to get back vocals. You're giving them beats. They don't know if they're going to use it. They're holding a whole bunch of your beats. So do you feel like doing the instrumental album, you just have more control over the overall project?
Yeah, but I've been fortunate to where the few people that I've worked with are actually my friends, so they let me kind of take the reins on a lot of stuff.
Right.
I mean, outside of course, like a few placement stuff, like yeah, of course you're waiting on stuff and it takes forever. But I mean, yeah, but of course the beat tapes, it's like you're not answering to nobody. You can do what you want.
Right. So when you make these beat tapes, are you making them for like, do you have like MCs in mind? Or is it more so for people who just like to listen to instrumentals?
So the last couple ones have just been like rejected joints. I think my first couple ones was just because I didn't have any artists at the time to work with. So like I was just doing whatever I wanted.
Right. Wow. Okay. So with these instrumental albums, what makes an instrumental album dope to keep the person engaged? There's no rhyming on it. So what keeps the person engaged? There's a bunch of skits involved, like a lot of vocal from
the answer is in the question. Like it's like so obviously skits and stuff. I've gotten better with my arrangement as time's gone on. And a lot of the time, sometimes just keeping the beat short.
Right.
I don't have long albums because I do believe in just keeping people engaged and just no more, no less. I don't believe in filler. So yeah, it's kind of just I sometimes I approach an album, whether it's instrumental or rap, I'm like, what if I was somebody that hates this person? Like, how would I be able to sit through this anyway?
Right.
And so that kind of trims off a lot of fat.
Right.
One producer mistake I see a lot is like long fade outs and long intros. And it's just obviously sometimes for stylistic reasons you want that, but when you make too much of a habit of it, it becomes very predictable and it's just wasting a lot of time.
Right. So when you make these instrumental albums, how long is each beat? And if it's short, do you have to have a bunch of beats on it?
No, I mean, it depends. Like I've probably like $1:30, 2 minutes.
Okay.
And yeah, like I'll have a beat that's 30 seconds. Like it don't really matter.
So how many beats would be on it on a beat CD or instrumental album if it's only 30 seconds?
I've had one. They're usually between 10 to 16.
10 to 16.
Yeah,
so basically the album is pretty short.
Yeah. All my albums are short. I mean, there's one I'm thinking about doing, and it might be 8. It's just, but it's like arranged very well, so it's like you don't feel like you just got in and out.
Right, right. So it's pretty hard for people in the car to freestyle to it and keep it going because the next beat is coming on.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the funny thing. It's somebody said something about that. They're like, yo, I was just getting into it. It just cuts off, man. Like,
and it just right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Because people, MCs might be in the car, like want to freestyle and then wow, it's done. Like, yo.
But I'll tell them, hey, give me some money, I'll get you the stems.
Indeed, that's another thing. So when you're working with artists, you don't have a problem giving stems. I know some artists don't like giving stems because they don't like, the engineer messing up their mix or messing up their beat,
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had engineers screw up my stuff. I mean, that's just a part of the business. But if it's a project of mine, the engineer is usually someone that understands my music. Or recently I just been kind of taking the reins on the mixing myself. So then me. So if I screw up, then that's me.
Right. So with Ace Cannons, did you work with him in the studio, or was this just you sending him beats?
I've actually never met Ace in person. Actually none of the guys I worked with except Micah I've met twice. Everybody I've worked with I've never met before. It's just we're just always talking, always joking, like we're actually real friends. So
right.
That's how the chemistry's there.
Right. So now, aside from the instrumental projects, are we going to get a Mighty Healthy Dr. Dre Chronic-like album from you?
Yeah. In fact, I'm working on one now. And yeah, there's definitely those down the line.
Right. Are you at liberty to say who's going to be on it, or is that tight-lipped?
This one is kind of more home team stuff, but there's definitely more down the line.
So when you say home team, who's involved in who's home team?
Yeah, so Ace, there's Micah, there's Alex Ludovico, there's pretty much people I've collaborated with before.
Right. And they're all based in what area?
Man, all over the place. I think Mike is out of Detroit, Ace is in Maryland, I think Jamil's in Baltimore. It's all over the place, actually.
Right. Got you. So the problem with a producer making these Dr. Dre Chronic-like albums is finding the right MCs. How do you know which MC is going to go on what track? Has that ever been a problem for you, or you give them the beat, they don't like it, but you're like, yo, this is it right here for you?
There's usually I've been fortunate enough to where like the kind of beats that I make, it's not what they're used to getting, right? So they always immediately want to jump on that. But yeah, it's just all feeling, really. Just you something you're like, oh yeah, I haven't. When was the last time I talked to that guy? I think he'll fit on this one. Like, it's really feeling.
Yeah. Have you ever made a beat, right? You make a beat, it's dope, like it's dope. You give it to an artist, but he wants you to change something, but you're like, you don't want to change it. Like you like it as is, because you're also an artist within your own right as a beat maker to a degree. Have you ever had that issue where it's like they want you to change it, slow it down, take the hi-hat out or take this out, and you're like, nah, this is how I want it. This is how I made it.
Yeah, not really. I've been fortunate enough to where they're like, okay, I just said this verse. Okay, you go back and then do all your arrangement around it. So like, I'm known for all my post-production stuff, so I'm trusted with that.
Right. And as a beat maker, sometimes you have to play the role as a producer. And has anyone give you like a subpar performance and you had to tell him, yo, go rewrite that verse, say it like this, don't say it like that?
Yeah, actually, no. Again, with the kind of joints that I make and the kind of people that I work with, it's like when they get something from me, it's not like what they gotten from other people, and so they're just excited and immediately want to give 1000%.
Right. So when you give out beats to one artist, are you giving out beats, the same beats to each artist, and they pick and whatever's left, or are you giving this artist beats that's specifically for him, this artist beats specifically for him? How does that work?
Yeah, it's usually a mix of both. It's if there's already something in motion,
right.
and obviously, you know, they get the tailored joints, and then, you know, maybe I'll give them like a couple days or like a week or two, and if they pick this one, they didn't pick the other ones, and they're getting recycled. Happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because one of the things I hate is to give out a bunch of beats and they don't, you know, they pick what they want, but then it's like, okay, what are you doing with the other? You're just sitting on them. You know, do you give them a time limit, or like, hey, I gave you 20 beats, you pick 6?
Right. Yeah. I mean, everyone has a deadline. Like, it doesn't matter what level. In fact, I'm not gonna say the name because it's. Right. I'll say the name offline. But like, there was one project I was working on. It was just a lot of joints from that person, right. And it was like a well-known person. So I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Right.
Yeah, after that. So you don't care that he picked some of them and then he's still holding on to the rest.
Oh yeah, I don't care. If I don't hear anything, then nothing happens.
Then nothing happens, and you'll just don't even worry about them, and then you'll just give someone else a fresh batch.
Yeah. And then usually sometimes what happens is like, if it's that good, then they don't mind putting it out knowing that it's already came out already. Like it's happened all the time.
Right. So you giving certain artists a beat, they use 6 of them, and then years later they use the other 14.
Yeah, and you know, it's fine. I don't care. If I already used it and they want to reuse it later, there's no problem. But I'm not gonna sit there.
Right. Got you. Yeah, because I was like, a lot of times you give these beats out, and it's like, come on, are you gonna use the other ones? Because I want to give it to that one, or someone else has heard it, they want to use it. I already gave it to somebody, but they're just sitting on it. It's like, why are you babysitting? But I realize certain artists, you know, they're artists, so they take their time, and it may not fit the project what they're doing at that time, and it's a whole patience game as a producer. So that's why, you know, I can see why a lot of producers start liking to put out instrumental albums, because it's just a less headache dealing with these artists. Now, are you against using like BeatStars and selling beats on BeatStars and things like that, like selling beats online?
No, of course not. In fact, that's how I started, because I didn't know what else to use. Which I've stepped away from it. But it's not even because it was bad. It's just my focus is now shifted towards you know, growing a label, putting out projects, and just focusing on growing that. And you know, I'll get things here and there, you know, sending beats to people or whatever, but it's mostly just been focused on growing that.
Right. So you're focused on mainly putting out projects with artists, or just giving them a beat here and there?
No, it's mostly just focused on, like, right now I got like a couple projects I got to finish up, and then you know, help oversee some other stuff. And you know, if people want to give me money for a beat, then it's fine, but that's not really like my main focus.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of beat makers today, they're not selling beats like back in the day used to. Used to get 10,000 or whatever for a beat. I know that era's over, but nowadays I notice most of the producers now, they rather do the splits. They rather do a project with an artist and do the splits rather than just sell a beat here and there.
Yeah, there's billions of producers, there's billions of rappers, so just it's harder as someone who's getting started, to start trying to sell beats, because, and especially with a lot of people that sound exactly the fucking same, and it's like, how are you separating yourself from this person? Well, now you have to kind of carve out a little artistic path for yourself, and like that's how you separate yourself.
When you say artistic path, like what?
Like, for example, if let's say you like making a certain type of music, you should be focusing on growing your brand as that person that makes that kind of stuff, whether it's doing collaborations with other people or putting on your own stuff, basically, treating yourself as an artist as well. I think that's kind of a lost thing with a lot of producers. Like, we don't have to just sit there and wait on rappers. Like, we could take the reins and put out our own stuff and work with people we want to and put that out. And just like what you said with all the splits and stuff.
Right. Because I noticed, like, with this underground hip hop music, it's like very few people I see are really doing it full, especially beat makers are doing it full time. Most of the beat makers I meet, they work and they do this part-time.
Mhm.
So how do you feel about that? Do you think you'll ever one day get to the point where you could do it full-time?
Oh, I could definitely see myself doing it full time. Because I'm just getting started myself. I'm like 4 years in, and
Right.
I I have a full-time job, but I also work full-time at this. And so just like what I was saying before, a lot of my time is spent trying to grow, myself as an artist myself. So I spend a lot of time in like learning how to market like my Spotify page and stuff like that, growing my following and
Right.
bringing merch, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So you have a label.
Yeah. So it's so like, I want to be like a self-contained thing.
Right. So would you sign other beat makers to your label?
Yeah, I would be.
Under your production name or?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Right.
In fact, I'm executive producing like a couple projects already. And yeah, if that's something they want to do, then that's fine as well.
Right. Because as a beat maker with all these projects, do you find like it's too much of a heavy load? Because if you're working with 3 or 4 different artists and you're working on beats, it's like, do you find like it's just like can get overwhelming?
It's like a good overwhelming, like a good overwhelming, as in it keeps it fun. Like now that I finished the My D.I.G.G.A.Z project, now it almost feels like it's bad overwhelming because I just finished this huge thing that was taking up all my time,
right?
And then have like a whole bunch of little loose ends where it's just like I'm probably more productive with a lot of other things going on.
Got you. So you're more productive working on this project, that project, this project, instead of just focusing on this one particular project.
Right.
Because that project it seemed like it was you had to be very engaged because those, like I said, the beats were just very urgent and it seemed like a lot went into those beats, like, and a lot of
like
back and forth between you and Ace.
Yeah, like that project felt like 3 projects in one. Like,
right. Are y'all gonna work on a part 2 to that, or?
Oh yeah, I just did something for part 2 right now. Yeah, we already started.
Right. So is it gonna have the same vibe, or are you switching the vibe up for this second album?
Oh no, we're gonna double down even more. Like
there's still gonna be more urgency, more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because it was just really, really urgent and whatnot. And I like that. I'm gonna listen to it some more. I played it off my phone, but I want to hear it in the car. I know when I played it in the car, I'm really gonna get into it even more.
You go really, because I love doing bass lines and stuff like that. So you go really all that too.
So with the bass lines, I mean, how are you doing? Are you playing it off a keyboard, or are you sampling a bass note and putting it across the pad 16 levels?
No, Ableton, they got the buttons. It's pretty much like a square keyboard. And so yeah, I'm playing bass lines. I'm not like classically trained or anything. Like I just took a couple music theory classes in the past. And yeah, I love doing bass lines.
Yeah, because I know for a lot of beat makers, that'd be like their weakness. They kind of not good at bass lines.
Which is weird because this is hip hop. Like it's supposed to have that. And so whenever I hear beats that don't have it, it just feels unfinished. Like
wow. So you feel every beat should have a bass line in it?
When it's supposed to. Okay. So like obviously like the drumless joints, it's like that's not meant to knock. Like that's fine. But there's certain beats out here, even from names we like. I'm like, why didn't they have a bass line? Like that needed one right there.
Right. Yeah. You know who the king of the bass line is, right?
Who not?
I always thought it was Kev Brown.
Really? Okay.
Kev Brown. He always makes sure he has some type of bass line in his beats or whatever. But I've interviewed a lot of other producers say sometimes it doesn't have to have a bass line. How do you know when it needs a bass line though?
When it feels empty. So like that's subjective also, but for me, my beats always have to sound full. So it's like, I mean, that's also from, living in the South. I'm hearing trap all the time. Like I need body. Even though it's boom bap shit, like I want my boom bap shit to knock harder than trap shit. So for me, the low end is crucial to me. Like that's not
right. So are you filtering the bass line out of the sample?
I've done that, but mostly, I got Native Instruments. They have like the Rickenbacker bass. That's where I probably butchered that name, but yeah, it's like one of their default things that comes with. It's a really good stock bass guitar. And like I just do that, put like my basic plugins on it, and it sounds great. Sounds like a real bass.
So the bass line is what the last thing after you get the sample and the drums. The bass line is usually the last thing you're putting in.
Yeah, 100%. Because you want to find the key, you want to find all that, and then figure out what kind of groove you want. Yeah.
Right. So, and you're not classically trained. So is it a how do you,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really easy. Like there's 12 notes in an octave, so you got 12 tries. It's like it's gonna be one of those. You find the root note,
finding that right note.
Yeah, and then
match the sample.
And then Ableton has this pretty cool feature where you could hit find in key mode. So like once you find the root note, you put it to in mode, then whatever button you press is going to be in key. So you can just press whatever, and it's going to sound great.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. Seems like Ableton is really dope. It allows you to do an array of things. And is that what that's what you started with?
I started in FL.
Everybody seems to start in FL. What is it about FL that's so dope? I've never played with FL.
Because of trial.
Huh?
Because the free trial.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
I know Ninth Wonder started with Fruity Loops. A lot of people started with Fruity Loops. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, is it user friendly?
Super is very user friendly. So I started with FL, and then I wanted hardware. Like I'm like all of my heroes, they all had hardware.
Right.
And so then I saw the machine. So I tried the machine, didn't really like it. It felt very limiting. And so then I just completely made the leap into Ableton because like I got the hardware, and then to me it's the best DAW because I have the absolute freedom to do whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was making beats. I started making beats in '99, and I was making beats before the computer was really, that software was out. So at first I wanted the ASR X. You familiar with the ASR X? The Sonic ASR X? I wanted that because a lot of my people had it. And I was like, okay, they could show me how to use it. So when I tried to order it from musicians' friends, they were out of stock. So I was like, all right, let me get the MPC 2000 XL. And I had to learn that on my own. It took a minute to learn that because it had the ASR X had sounds in it already. You know what I mean? But the MPC 2000 XL had nothing. So, I had to learn that, and like, it was like, wow, I had to read the manual and things like that. So everybody else had the ASR X and I had the MPC 2000 XL. I was like, damn. Right, because I thought I have a cheat code because my man's and he got this. I just got to get the same thing he got. They could show me how to work this because I didn't know nothing about making beats when I first started, but I had to learn on the MPC 2000 XL, and I was on that for like 20 years. Then I moved on to the MPC Studio, which is a beautiful thing as well, So do you see yourself upgrading to leaving Ableton and trying something else, or right now you're on Ableton?
Never. I mean, there's I don't think there's anything else out there that'll give me the freedom I have with Ableton.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'll be there forever. So I think that,
So you're not one of those gear junkies. Some people got to have every gadget that comes out, every new this, every new that,
Yeah, as far as gear, like I bought a drum set like a year ago just to play around with that and kind of whatever. But as far as to change my production station, no, nothing anytime soon.
Nothing. So it'll be a fossil. You're still going to be rocking with it.
Oh yeah, like unless there's I haven't even upgraded. I think I'm still on Ableton 10. I think they're at like 11 or 12 now. I'm still on 10 because it's working.
Wow. Yeah, I feel you. So you're making beats. You're a fan of this. I know you're a fan of other beat makers. Who are you feeling that's out right now?
That like and that's current.
That's current within not the legends, but shout out to them. But that's out now.
Oh yeah, I'm on the spot. I can't. Yeah, it's hard because outside of legends, like I don't really, or like my friends, which that kind of doesn't count.
It counts. Who do you like?
Yeah, so all my friends, Timepiece, Flu, Bohemia
Right,
Lynch.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah, timepiece. Yeah,
um,
they've been on it. Yep.
yeah,
Timepiece.
Trump was really dope.
Who?
I don't know if you ever heard of Trumpzilla. He's super dope. Like
Yeah, I heard his name. Yeah.
yeah, like he got fast paced joints like me. He can get really dark and stuff too. His drums knock.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of anybody that can have shit that knocks. So, but as far as like known people, I don't really pay attention. Like
Right.
I pay attention, but not really. Like I see what's going on. Like, okay, that's it. I don't care.
Right. Right. Gotcha. So, what artist is on your wish list to work with, though?
Ooh. Definitely I got Black Thought on there. I got obviously
Yeah, because he would fit good on these, like the tracks you gave Ace when he gets in his bag and really rhymes. Yeah, he would sound really ill on those tracks, those type of tracks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like Black Thought, like Wu, obviously Wu, like, and I got some. Well, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, that's obviously like Hove, just the bucket list.
But
Everybody.
who I could see on your tracks too? Kool G Rap.
Yeah,
I could see Kool G Rap getting really ill. Like I'm talking about like 89 Kool G Rap.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I could see him getting busy on those tracks too.
Yeah.
Kool G Rap.
Yeah. I got a pretty basic bucket list. Like it's not really.
Yeah, but I could definitely see Kool G Rap on there. Who else could I see? There's a few others that I think can really, even Big Daddy Kane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because those tracks are like upbeat. You know what I mean? From like they sound like they're from like that late 80s, 90s era. Like that fits in, and I think those MCs would just eat it up.
Because it forced them to bring it back.
Right. It's for
Yeah.
yeah. So it would be artists like that can rhyme pretty fast and keep up and keep the crowd's attention.
Like that's why to me the Wu would be super fun because
the Wu,
it's like I'm obviously bring them to that, but it's still new.
Right.
So like it forces them to tap into that, but without having them sound dated.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I could see over those beats, I could see you bring back all those 90s superstars like Vinny and Tretch, Naughty by Nature, you know what I'm saying? These are the new school. I could see all them guys like really going crazy over your tracks.
Other one.
Buster would he would sound ill over those tracks too. You know what I mean?
So I don't know if you picked it up, but on the Gotham joint, I have Busta ad-libs throughout the song. Like if you hear like every couple bars,
I gotta play it in my car. I gotta really play it in my car and absorb it in my car when I'm driving, because I'm on my phone, I'm just skimming. But when I play it in the car, I would take a nice long drive somewhere and just let it rock. So I'm gonna play it in my car and definitely give it a real listen. And I like to blast my music, so I might play this at night. Just ride through a neighborhood blasting at night. You know what I mean? Blasting at night. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank you for being on the platform, man. I know we had technical difficulties before, but like I said, I kept my word. I'm like, yo, we're gonna reschedule and I'm gonna get you back up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, this is great. I love talking about production, man. So
right, definitely. So Mighty Healthy, much success to you. This platform is for us, strictly for my diggers. You know what I'm saying? Giving you your flowers. The whole purpose of this is to give all the beat makers they props, because a lot of times we get the shitty end of the stick, we're not recognized. Now it gives the audience a chance to put a face to the name. When they see the production credits, when they watch this platform, they'll know who Mighty Healthy is. At the same time, it's also educational because you're dropping jewels, and a lot of other beat makers that have been on here are watching too, and they're like, "Oh, I do the same thing." Or, "Oh, wow, I'm gonna have to try that." You know what I mean? So it's education for everybody. I'm sure if you watch some of my episodes, you've learned, other techniques, and you've tried that as well. So we're sharing in this capacity, in this platform. It's like we're all sharing techniques and sharing ideas. And I mean, it's just been wonderful talking to everybody, man. I love talking, and it's giving me a lot of ideas, even on business wise, as far as the marketing of beats, you know, the creation of beats and everything. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to share, because you didn't have to do that, you know.
Oh man, I love this. You know, we're all in this together, so we're all here to help each other.
Right.
And I definitely you know, I've subscribed and I check out episodes and stuff. And it's great.
Word up. Yep. So you'll be on season 3. Thank you, my digger. I appreciate that.
Man, appreciate it. One last plug. You can get Mighty Cannons, it's Ace Cannons, Mighty Healthy, Mighty Candies. You can get it on grimynobody.com. That's GRIMEY nobody.com. Put the offer code AOTY at checkout. That's album of the year at checkout for 15% off everything. Well, I might raise it to 20 today. And yeah, it's on everywhere else. But if you want merch, and we got posters, vinyl, CDs, shirts, stickers. We got this cool hat here, you know, all types of stuff.
All right. Producers, yo, take notes, man. Other producers, my man's a businessman doing his thing. You know what I mean? Word up. Mike, yeah, man. Thank you so much. Peace.
Peace.
I'm gonna tell you now, I ain't no holy individual, but I am righteous. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna steal from you, I'm not gonna cheat you. I'm gonna tell you